Ladies and gentlemen, it's September 10th, 2014. My name is Dan Boul. I've got Frank Falbo and Miles Rose and Howard Johnson here. And we're just going to cut to the chase today and talk about something that's on every concerned mother's mind. The Vertex wah scandal.
Oh,
Yeah,
they were talking about Ferguson.
that and yeah, right. And there's my trash truck. So, Chael Clausen says, I'll just go get a whiskey then. Now, that sounds good. I like that. So, what's going on in the world? There's been another scandal of someone repackaging an inexpensive pedal and pawning it off as a high-end boutique piece of gear. The company is Vertex. Out of where are they here in California? They're in some town here, up in the Bay Area in some small town. Anyway, there's been massive talk on the gear page, massive speculation on whether or not they were the same wah as a BBE wah. Some gentleman on the gear page, I'm not sure what prompted him to do it. Maybe you guys might remember. But he decided to ungoop a Vertex wah, and lo and behold, it's the exact same thing as a BBE wah. I don't read Chinese, but all the characters are exactly the same, and all the components are exactly the same, with the exact same lead dress and the exact same grounding, and even the heat shrink on the ends of the wires has the exact same writing on it, and all the grounding locations are exactly the same, done with the exact same solder and the exact same amount, and they were built in the same factory by the same people, i.e. they're the same wah pedal. And so apparently what Vertex did, the young man's name is Mason Marangella, was put a different value pot in there. He changed it from 100K to 150K. Which will make it sound a little different. And then he took the BBE badging off of it, put his own badging on it, and then the little knob, the level knob on the side, he put a nicer looking knob on it, and repackaged it for $300 or $400. Was it $299 or $399 or $349? I don't know what it was. And it's a huge scandal. There's multiple threads on multiple forums going over 1,000 posts. And people want to sue this guy and ruin his life. Apparently there's been calls made to his wife's school where his wife is a principal over a wah pedal.
Pitchforks.
So there's a shame on you, a shame on me sort of dynamic going here that I want to bring up, and then we'll get into the details about a wah pedal. The first shame on you, as Stephen Colbert would say, wag of the finger, is to Vertex for, scamming everybody. He did buy the wahs. He did spend $50 making a box, new badge, put a different pot in it. So he's got $130, $150 in it. He sold it to dealers for $2.25. They sold it for $2.99. The business model itself makes sense. It's just the premise of it that was complete and utter bullshit. I think if he would have just said, hey, I can improve the BBE wah, I can make it look nicer, but I have costs and I have to make a little profit, everybody would have went, okay. The sad part of the whole thing is he convinced Mike Landau and Joe Bonamassa and a bunch of other artists that, Josh Smith, I think, that it was this great wah. And he backed it up with a fabricated story of how he was an EE from Berkeley. Turns out he has a degree in sociology. There was a whole series of lies to cover the lie. And so, to Mason's credit, he came out on the gear page Friday or Saturday, I think, and kind of opened the kimono, told the whole truth, mea culpa. Actually said a lot more than I think he should have, because he started talking about other areas where he lies and where he's not honest and all of these sorts of things. And he seemed to be prompted by Mike Landau's open letter saying that he's disavowing himself of any connection to Vertex and doesn't want to be associated with them in any way. And that sort of forced Mason's hand. So what happened last week was I got a call from a friend of mine who said, Dan, maybe you should talk to this kid. Or we had the conversation. I said, I'll talk to him. It's fine. Give him sort of a sober perspective on it. At which point I told him, basically in a nutshell, you just have to come clean. I saw the pictures of the internal parts of the wah. It's the same wah. There's no ambiguity to someone like us who are manufacturers. I understand why laymen or just casual players on the gear page might not be able to tell the difference, but they're all the exact same components except for the pot. And he admitted he bought the pot from Small Bear, who's a really small parts distributor here in California. Really nice guy. He's into pedal stuff. And so he funds his own pedal forays by selling parts. He can build his own cheaper if he buys everything in batch. And if he can sell his excess parts, then his pedals are free to him. It's a smart thing to do. Nice guy, too. We've bought some stuff from him before. He's a good man. Unfortunately, Mason told a bunch of lies to cover up the lies, one of which was that he had worked at BBE on the wah pedal, and then someone from BBE comes out and says, we've never heard of this guy, vice president, and said, I can assure you he's never worked here. We don't know anything about him. So it was just one lie after another, and he stuck to the lie, and he made a very fatal mistake that young people make. Mason's very young. Is that he thought he was the smartest guy in the room, which is the first sign that you're stupid. If you're ever sitting in a room full of people and you think, I'm the smartest guy in the room and I can say whatever I want and they'll believe it, you're the dumbest guy in the room, by far. It's like the old joke, if you're sitting around with a bunch of nice guys trying to figure out who the asshole is and you can't figure it out, it's you. Right? You're the asshole. And
crazy people in a family, right?
That's
Every
right.
Family's got one.
That's right. And if everyone else seems sane, that means you're the crazy
you don't know
one.
Who it is. If you say my family doesn't have a crazy
You've
person,
never met my
family. It's you.
Yeah.
Right.
Met my family, they're all crazy.
Right.
Well, anyway. So Mason made the mistake. It's a young man's mistake, and Mason's a very young guy. And he's from a smaller town. And he got carried away severely with the hubris of being able to spin one lie after another and make people believe it. That's the shame on you part. The shame on me part, which I think everyone on the gear page and all of these customers needs to cop to, is that this is such an astonishing bullshit story that because of the need to deify boutique makers, put them on a pedestal, you had foregone any amount of reason. A wah pedal is the simplest of all pedals. If anybody tells you, I have this groundbreaking, earth-shattering wah and I've revolutionized it, you know what? They're astonishingly full of shit. And you should really question it whenever you hear that. Now, regardless of whether this is a BBE wah or a Vertex wah or whatever, I read through all the threads on the gear page, and I didn't see anyone, not one person, say, I don't like my wah pedal. So him changing the pot and making it a little more aesthetically pleasing is okay. Now, I'm not defending anything. Yes, John Priest has a good point here. I have 7,000 pounds worth of Vertex product that I can't do anything with. I have an idea for you, John. No. When I worked at Rhythm City in Atlanta, George Luther, the guy that owned Rhythm City, got into a fight with Hartley Peavy because he had a whole storeroom full of CS800 power amps. So you know what George did? He started a contest And for $50, you could enter the contest. And the contest was to see who could throw a CS800 the farthest off the roof out on to, what was it? Not Peachtree Street.
It's not important.
Anyway. Frank hurt me. Frank hurt me, Mommy.
Steps in with a bit of reason.
Frank hurt me.
Yeah, let's just move.
And so, anyway,
From doing a mile.
musicians from like 5 counties came around. And you know what you got when you won the contest? A free CS800.
A working one.
Yeah, one of the ones that didn't get thrown off the roof. So we had guys out there with like measuring tape, you know, and like a flag. And you see all these little scrawny, junky musicians trying to throw a power amp off the roof of a music store. And I think George doubled his money on what he had paid for all those CS800s. And it was a great idea, and it made him the most famous music store in the South. I mean, the local news was there, like Channel 4 Atlanta was there with cameras, and you know, and all of our security guards at Rhythm City were off-duty Atlanta PD. So they blocked off the street, you know, and the whole shit. And it was hilarious, man. Some guys threw it like 6 inches, you know. It landed on the sidewalk right in front of the store, and some other dudes threw it like almost into the pub across the street, you know. It was really funny. Yeah, a new addition to the Highland Games, the Vertex Wah Toss. You could do, you know, a turkey shoot with it. You know, you stick them up on poles out in the country somewhere and shoot them with a shotgun, and whoever does the most damage gets a free Vertex Wah. So for people like John, you're really fucked. And I'm sorry about that. But
Well, you never know. I mean, he may come up with a plan to get clean on that stuff, too. You know?
he says he's trying to secure funding to, I don't know who on earth would lend him that money. I mean, imagine going to a banker and saying, look, I committed wholesale fraud, and I need some financing to get out of trouble. And the guy's going to go, what's your credit rating? And no, he's going to go, yeah, see you later. I hope he can. He needs to refund his dealers. I don't think, if you've already purchased the Wah, I think you're stuck with it. The point of it, too, was that everyone liked the Wah. So it's a real big win for BBE, because now we can all go out and buy a BBE Wah for $89 at Sweetwater and put a $10 pot in it, and it's a Vertex Wah. The lesson here, I think, for everyone to do is there seems to be this zeitgeist on the forums of wanting to feel like I'm buying my handmade piece of gear from a better person than you're buying your handmade piece of gear from. Or I'm a better person because I'm associated with this company versus that company. And especially when you get into the pedal world, there's not a whole lot of difference between pedals. There's good pedals and there's great pedals. Even the cheapest, those Joyo pedals that are $9 wholesale or something, they don't sound awful. They don't sound great, but they don't sound awful. There's a lesson to be learned from everybody. Now, here's my humble opinion on a few other things. I don't really think what he did was illegal. Was it ethically wrong? Absolutely. Was it morally wrong? You bet. Horrible. Absolutely. But buying a product, making a modification to it aesthetically and functionally, repackaging it and selling it is not illegal. He did make a lot of false claims in his marketing material, which is an issue for the Federal Trade Commission, which I don't think they're going to bother with this. It's not you as an individual can't go sue him for making a false claim in his marketing stuff. You could, in theory, put together a class action suit. Those are extremely expensive and take years.
Blood from a turnip.
And then even if you win the class action suit, he's just going to declare bankruptcy. Or his company's going to declare bankruptcy. Hopefully at least had a company going. So there's not really any recourse you can do. Now, John, as a dealer, I think you should definitely place a garnish on him or a lien on him immediately. And if you don't have representation here in the U.S., I can help you with that. But yeah, that's his legal liability is to his dealers. So, but again, the point is, don't get wrapped around the axle about having the latest, greatest, amazing, coolest thing when you're talking about something as simple as a wah pedal. I'll tell you, here's the most innovative wah I've ever seen. Because it has two inductors. It's the same circuit that's in every other wah. It's the same circuit that's been in every manual wah forever. There's nothing to it. I mean, it's just so astonishingly simple. It's a big pot with teeth on it. And then some ancillary circuit just to be sort of a tone filter and to keep it from, just put limits on it. There's nothing to it. Ustreamer brings up a good point. Maybe I'm missing something, but he got caught. He's been disgraced. Let's redirect our energy back to music. Jockey Box said, I just checked 5 of the most popular sellers. The BBE pedal is now $149. Yeah, they're smart. They should have it meet $199 if I were them, because Jack Sonny says something perfect here. Hi, Jack. I have a script idea for you, too. It's part of the guitar player cooler than thou zeitgeist to need, and I choose to word that carefully, to have the newest, shiniest object. It's what makes this industry work. It does. And there are people who are conniving and intelligent, because Mason's not a stupid guy. But he's conniving enough to really, really take advantage of you on that. R.J. Sanders says, I stick with my old Dunlop. Yeah, you can change the pots in that too, and it'll sound different and probably cool. You can take the components that are on the board, all 12 of them, and put in higher grade components, and you might like the way it sounds better. You might not. A Vox Crybaby is not particularly a hi-fi device, but the original ones are considered some of the best wahs, and there's been people who've made their entire business model off of taking a Crybaby and just changing 2 things, which is what Vertex did. He just lied about how he did it and where it came from. So I kind of want to just get that out of the way and open it up to you guys, because, boy, there's some vitriol on the gear page. I mean, I hate this motherfucker, and, it's just, dude, it's a wah pedal. It's a wah pedal. And if you fell for it, 49% of the blame belongs with you. 51% belongs with Mason. And he's kind of owned up to it, even though I don't think he was going to do it until Landau put out his thing. I think if Landau hadn't written that letter and then Bonamassa chimed in, and apparently there's 10 other areas of this guy's life that are just complete and utter fabrication. But there's the one thing to remember. The guy's married, and his wife has a job, and he has a life, and it's not necessary to destroy him. It is necessary to learn from this. It is necessary to be dignified about it. But if you want to really want to protest Mason, don't buy his stuff. Right? That's it. That's all you can do. I don't know if they're apocryphal tales or not, but there's tales about people calling his wife's work, threatening letters written to him, emails, all these sorts of things, over a wah pedal. Right? A wah pedal. Don't you think that's a little much? Seriously. It's not even an expensive piece of gear. You spent $300. It's not like your kids didn't get shoes because you bought a wah pedal. If that's the case, you're an idiot. It has nothing to do with Mason.
Yeah, get the shoes.
Right. If you chose a wah pedal over shoeing your children, you're a fool. I mean, what damage did it do? Right? It's stupid. I think the guy's a crook. He made a really forward step in admitting everything, and when I consulted with him, I told him, you have to, or you're just dead. you know. I think he kind of told too much, you know, like, I say I wear a size 9 shoe, but it's really only a 7.5, you know, like he really went far. It's just, anyway, there's 95 wah pedals out there, 94 of which are probably the exact same circuit, only maybe some of them aren't made by little Chinese hands in the BBE factory or wherever they sub it out at one of the 5 big factories that make everything in China. Since the iPhone 6 is in full production, they might be in short supply now. But you get my point? Is that, you know, maybe some of you guys were the ones that are on there raving, and there's this wolf pack lynch mob mentality. I'm behind my keyboard. Look how big my cock is. I'll type anything I want, you know. And it's a wah pedal, fellas. You got scammed by a kid. Is it embarrassing? Hell yes. Should you be embarrassed? Yes. Should you be angry? Yes. Do you have to like get everybody in light torches and go to his house and kill him? No, you don't have to. Trust me, his life is ruined right now. Yeah. I mean, you know, there's a good chance his entire life could fall apart. He's getting his karma. He's getting his payback. You see what I'm saying? He's got to turn to his wife and explain this to her right now. His wife. And she's way more important than any of you. And I wish him luck with that. Because nobody deserves to have their life ruined over a horrible mistake. It was horrible what he did. It's not forgivable. You know, what's the saying? Forgive the sinner, not the sin, right? There's that backwards. Forgive the...
Yeah, no, you kind of have it right.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Right?
Hate the sinner, not...
Hate the sin, not the sinner. Right. He's a kid.
How old is he?
26, 27.
Yeah.
And clearly he's a naive kid. From a smaller town. Clearly underestimated every one of his customers and dealers. And again, everyone liked the wah. Everyone liked the little mod he did. That's the thing that's like...
Yeah.
You should have sold it to me cheaper. You know what? You should have bought a BBE and put the fucking pot in yourself. You know, if someone... He bought all that stuff. He bought all the pots. He did the labor. He made a new box. That cost him $50, $60. And then he had to make some money on it, and so does the dealer. I wouldn't have bought it in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to the story than just a wah pedal, right? I mean, there's a lot of other lies. There's things about his cables that he said. There's things about other pedals that he made that he said. You know, the point is it's all over. That's it.
Right.
Nobody else is gonna buy a Vertex product based on any of the previous lies, unless they're just now coming to the table and they, you know, maybe in the next week. A couple of things will be purchased.
Earl Williamson says something that's very correct here. I'd like to repeat it. So the Vertex wah works. It's not faulty. Has different value components. No, it has one component changed. Not components. Yeah. Those were lies. Mason lied about that. Yeah. The only thing he didn't lie about was the pot. I think the BBE has a 100K pot in it. His has a 150K pot. Ish. I could be off. Maybe it's a 125 or something. But he did change one component. Everything else on that board is exactly the same.
And if you say you change a pot and then you set the teeth right so that the the sleeve is where you want it. Right. And again, okay, fine. That's like tying your shoelaces
tighter.
It's setting it where you want it. You know.
Right. So, but anyway, as one component's different, which does change the sound. Right. Sounds different to other wahs on the market. What's the issue? You're correct, Earl. The issue is he lied about it. He said it was American made. He said it was using NOS parts. And he said there was a custom This is where I went, whoa, who would believe this? A custom in-house made inductor.
No.
Now, do you know what kind of shop you have to? You can't sit there on your little workbench and make inductors.
Right.
You need really high-grade, precision, expensive machinery. You just can't sit there with a bobbin while you're watching American Idol making an inductor. That is such astonishing bullshit. And I can't believe the first day that up, someone didn't go, hang on a minute. Can you explain that to me? How do you make inductors in-house?
Right. Can I see a photograph, please?
Show me your shop.
Yeah.
I mean, Mercury Magnetics makes inductors. You know, and even though some of their machinery might be 50 years old, it was state-of-the-art back then. You're talking about old technology. You're not just sitting around going, la, 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 la. What's that, honey? Dinner's ready? Okay, I just got to finish my inductor.
Right. And just to be clear, before we get too far off the track, you know, I make guitars. I want everybody to understand that I also do make the tree myself.
Right. In-house.
In-house.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I have a special...
Well, you make your own fret wire, too,
I do.
right?
Yeah, I draw my own fret wire.
And your own tuning keys.
Yeah, and most people extrude the fret wire to shape. No, I start with a solid block of stainless steel.
And you kiss it until it's the right shape.
Well, it's mostly files, but yeah, at the very end, there's a little teeth. Yeah, that's
custom,
why I put the barbs in there.
You've heard of handmade? These are mouth-made. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. Right. For lack of a better phrase,
there's a limit.
Wake up.
Well.
I mean, and it's so intoxicating to, Mason, he's an electrical engineer from Berkeley, therefore my wah is better, and I'm so proud to be I found it before you did.
Yeah.
I'm the first guy, therefore I'm smarter.
Yeah, I mean, you got to watch. You can't.
Come on, fellas.
You got to be careful. You don't blame the victim, right? But
I'm not.
But yeah, you.
49% of it
Google,
is that.
Just Google like a little bit. You know,
right.
Try to figure this out. You know, that's the message, right? If someone tells you the next amp,
right.
You know, that they just came out with has.
It'll make you sound exactly like Dwayne Allman.
Right. We hand make our capacitors in house. Like, really?
Yeah.
Do you understand what that looks like? You know. Just Google it. If someone makes a claim, figure it out. You know, figure out if they're telling the truth.
I think Dr. Knoll hit it on the head here. He says, I blame Bieber.
That's a good point, actually.
All roads lead there.
Yeah.
True about the BS, but it's similar to marketing speak that politicians and out. Yeah, sort of, Earl. I'm going to push back a hair on that because, you know, being creative and playful with your marketing and being ambiguous is one thing. We're all kind of guilty of that. Marketing is walking a line. That's what all marketing's about. How many times have you seen new for 2014, the completely redesigned Honda Odyssey? And you look at it and go, well, it's got 4 wheels and a steering wheel and the body shapes. It's pretty darn similar, and the gauges.
New cup holders.
Completely redesigned because it's Bluetooth.
Slightly different gear ratio.
That's marketing speak. That's kind of playing with the truth by saying it's made in America and it uses NOS parts, when it's made by slaves in Asia with the absolute cheapest components available.
Allegedly slaves. Come on.
Oh, no, they get a grass mat to sleep on and a bowl of rice.
Come on.
Yeah, okay. That's just wholesale lying.
Yeah. Marketing speak is
marketing is highlighting the positive, maybe a little stretching the positive, and ignoring the negative.
Right.
Fabricating things out of thin blue air is a different thing.
Right.
There's a degree to everything, Earl, I think. And just like there's a degree to how much coffee I drink. You know, a couple cups is really good, and 6 cups, it makes me ill. Yeah. It's the same thing. Everything has a degree. There's no black or white with it. He went way past the line, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, let's draw the contrast, right? I mean, there's pedals that you're releasing that have germanium transistors in them.
Right.
We say these sound amazing.
But they're clones.
That's true.
Right.
No, but I'm saying even the germanium transistors, we can say these are a good batch because there's a lot of bad ones out there that sound bad when you put them in the pedal. None of that, I mean, it's marketing, but it's true at the same time. And you can say, yeah, but you could really do a lot with a silicone transistor and get it close and do all this stuff.
You can.
And all that stuff is true still.
It is true.
And you can get a good sound out of a $79 Boss digital model of a fuzz.
That's right.
That's also true.
That's right.
All of these, when you're going to market, obviously the easiest thing to remember is the truth, right? The easiest.
It's always a good story.
That's the easiest thing that you can continue to repeat, and so
the truth is always the best story.
Yeah. So what's wrong with marketing is if I say all of these things about a germanium transistor,
we invented it. It's new. It's creative.
Or even just I ascribe all of these things to it, and you open up the pedal when you get yours, and there's a silicone in there. Mm-hmm. That's when it's wrong. You know?
Right.
If I said all of these things about the germaniums, and it turned out that your pedal was not $299 or $279, but it was $1099. There's still nothing wrong with it. It's up to you to decide if there's value in that.
Right.
But there's still that's okay if we say no, it's worth it because of our expertise, and you know what? I've been working my whole life. Doggone it, I should get paid.
Well, there's also you can just be honest and go, look, for me to pursue this as a business, I have to make a certain amount of money.
Unless I make $800 on each one.
For example, Alexander Dumble.
Right.
He makes 2 amps a year.
Right.
So they have to be $30,000.
Right. They're not $30,000 worth of components or time.
His amps cost less than mine to make.
Right.
But you got him. And he's amazing.
And
he's
if
great.
that's of value to you, then there's no false marketing in that.
No, but he tells you the truth.
Right. That's what I mean.
If you ask him, he'll say, I have health issues.
Right.
I'm financially insecure.
Right. This is what I need to do.
If I'm going to make you an amp, it's got to cost this much so I don't become homeless.
Right. Right. When you sign the check, you say okay to that.
Right.
Well,
he's being
intellectually
honest.
Right. When you sign a check that says, give me a USA-made wah pedal with weird NOS components and some kind of an inductor that you wound on your sofa in the afternoon.
Yeah, Dumble doesn't come up to you and say, hey, you need an amp?
Right.
Dumble's never solicited a customer.
I blew the glass on these tubes, myself.
I made them by hand.
Yeah, no, man.
In a hyperbaric chamber with Elvis Presley.
No, he tells you what you're getting. It's up to you to write the check, and God bless if you do.
Right. So John Priest says it's still upsetting. You should be upset, John. You're right. And I think you should pursue every bit of recourse you can.
Right. And that's what I mean. There's the line being crossed here is, like I said, the false claims and things like that.
Right.
And that's where Dan's right. You don't necessarily equate it to marketing speak because it's not. It's an actual lie that's being told about what it is that you're purchasing when you purchase it.
Right.
But, what are you going to do?
And, whatever is comforting, none of us here, especially the older we are, have lived without making horrible mistakes.
What time is it?
Yeah. And this kid made a whopper. Yeah. We'll talk about degrees later.
Yeah.
We've all really screwed up. We've all really hurt people in our lives. All fooling ourselves that it was okay.
Yeah.
So, again, hate the sin, not the sinner.
Yeah.
I think he's learned his lesson. It might take him a while because I talked to him on the phone quite a bit. And I didn't get the impression he really felt too culpable for all this. He's kind of feels like a victim, but I think it's going to soak in because he's not a stupid guy. So it might not be today, it might not be this week or this month. Yeah. But there's going to come a moment where he's going to wake up at 2 in the morning and go, oh, shit.
You never know.
At least I hope that he does.
Yeah, it's your brother's got an excellent marketing idea.
Now made with actual lies. Well, I think you had the best one, Frank. We were texting the other day and goes, man, we should clone Vertex Wahs now. We're going to make a Vertex Wah clone.
Yeah, right. This is
only we're going to take the badge off and put our badge on it.
Yeah, cloned right down to the very component and the circuit board material that's made of.
Yeah.
No, and that's the funny thing is that you don't want this necessarily to get crossed over into the whole clone argument because that's a whole different argument that says, don't come out with a tube screamer and tell me it's not a tube screamer. Right. Tell me it's, the greatest thing in the world, and then I'm going to open it up and I'm going to find out under the goop.
Because, we're making a Range Master, a Mark II professional tone bender, and a fuzz face. I just can't use those names because other people own them.
Right.
The circuit is wide open, public domain. I just can't use those names.
Yeah. We're going to come clean right now, though.
Well, from the first one, what's the color boost? It's a Range Master.
Yeah.
What's the color bender? It's a Mark II professional.
Right.
What's the color face? It's a fuzz face.
Right. There are portions of this circuit that are clones, and that is
98% of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's why you should buy it. You know what I mean?
Well, I just
it's like
if you don't want
to get the original anymore,
right?
And it sounds amazing,
right?
It's a fair wage for goods and services. You know.
Well, I mean, we like those pedals, so we made them.
Yeah, and there are some switches in there. There are some different things.
We added one switch.
Right.
Yeah.
There's value in it, you know.
We just evolved it a hair.
Yeah.
A hair.
Yeah, but that is a kind of a point is like there are some people who say I worked tirelessly to develop this circuit because I am an electrical engineer and I designed it and it's amazing.
Okay,
and
wait, whoa, red flag number 2.
Turns out,
Okay, red flag number 2. I am an electrical engineer and I worked tirelessly and long hours to work on this wah pedal.
Yeah, no, you can't. That's a sentence. Yeah.
Fellas,
yeah.
Let's put on our thinking caps.
Right.
An electrical engineer worked tirelessly on a circuit that he could draw with his big toe.
Right. Let's use our discernment, right?
What's not right? That's like Tiger Woods saying, I worked for months to make a 3-foot putt.
Yeah. No, just putt.
Really, Tiger?
Yeah,
it took you months?
If you miss it, then it's a 1-foot putt.
It took you months to learn how to make a 3-foot putt?
Yeah.
What does that smell? That's bullshit. That's what you smell.
Yeah.
Trust me, I did one semester in electrical engineering at the University of Missouri before I decided I don't like being around these people. My electronics experience comes from a high school electronics class. And I look at a wah pedal and go, wow, designed by an 8-year-old. There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
You have signal coming in, it goes through a pot and a filter, it goes out. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And not to begrudge people who spend time fine-tuning that.
Right.
Like Bradshaw,
I guarantee you Bob
or whatever,
I guarantee you Bob worked 2 hours on this.
Well,
maybe.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, not to begrudge, a Crybaby from Dunlop is $79 or $16, $100. I wouldn't begrudge for a second somebody charging $199, $299,
right,
whatever, for something that they worked hard on, where they say, even though there's a small difference, when you put this on your board, you're going to be happier with this than you are going to be with the thing that's $99.
Well, the thing is, you're not forced to buy anything.
Right. Nothing
so
wrong with
it's
that.
what it's worth to you.
Right.
If it sounds good, it's worth more money. But it was also the guy making it, for it to be something that he would want to do, he's got to make enough money. So there's this thing of you made too much money off of it.
Yeah. No.
You know what, guys? He can charge whatever in the hell he wants to for that.
Right.
You don't have to buy it.
Right.
And whether you end up... Yeah, I didn't want to take 8 semesters of calculus. That's the other part of it. You're right. But if you feel like he's not charging you, what it should be charged, don't buy it.
Right.
Don't buy. If you find out after the fact, oh my God, let me give you a clue. You know what an Apple computer costs them to make?
Right.
$100.
If you don't think it's worth it.
I mean, you don't think it's worth $1,500 for your laptop?
Right.
Don't buy it.
Right. And with a decision like that, you don't say to yourself, is this worth the components that are in it?
Right.
You say, what is this going to do for my productivity?
What's the value to me?
Right.
That's it.
I'm going to spend $1,500 because I'm going to get something that makes me better at my job, makes it easier for me to do what I need to do.
Right.
It's more pleasing to interface with.
I know.
The keyboard, the mouse, whatever.
Like, for example, I know what a Gibson Les Paul costs to make.
Right. It's not.
And if I told you, you guys would ruin your keyboards with vomit right now.
Yeah, it's...
But it doesn't matter because a Les Paul is a great guitar and it's worth that much money.
Right.
And clearly it is because they can't make enough of them. Right. They keep raising their price every year and their sales don't go down. Gibson sales haven't gone down since Henry took over.
Yeah.
So the whole this shitstorm that's going on the Gear page and other places is just illogical. You got taken by a kid. You should be angry.
You guys are still talking the wah pedal thing?
No.
No.
Came full circle.
We're talking about cannolis.
You realize a Les Paul has built-in when Dan was saying it's a very simple circuit,
Yeah.
you do realize that a Les Paul has 4 built-in wah pedals, 2-tone and 2-volume. You can't operate them with your foot. but
Right.
you
Now,
can reach
so if you really want to talk
Yeah.
about charlatans, let's talk about high-end speaker cables. Yeah, that's right.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a million guys ripping you off.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I say, there's a two-way street here. Yes, Mason lied. Oh, my God, did this kid lie? And then he told 20 more lies to cover the first lies. That's bad. That's between him, the mirror, and God. He's got to work that out.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
I
But
mean,
then at the same time, it's too late to go, oh, I want my money back. Unless you're a dealer like John. The dealers, I think, you know, that's wholesale fraud. That's commercial fraud. As an individual, you don't have any recourse.
Right.
And there's no need to crucify this kid.
Literally. Or
Yeah, it's just, it should be done. So anyway, all right, I'll stop talking now. Because you can tell this pisses me off. Because the main reason it pisses me off is it got into my life. You know, like, I had good friends, people that I care about, calling me going, you got to contribute here or help or do something. You know, I tell you, when I talked to Mason, it was before he came clean. And he was played everything pretty close to the vest. You know, he said, thanks for the advice. And I gave him, you know me, I'm a pretty blunt guy. I mean, I tone it down for the show, but I'm pretty blunt. And I said, dude, you're in a bad place. You have to come clean. There's no lose for you, because if you don't come clean, you're dead. You're just absolutely dead. So if in fact these stories that you're telling, which in my mind, you know, the thought bubble over my head is there's no way this is true, but I'm just being diplomatic to the guy. If in fact what you're saying is true, then you need to illustrate it to the customers. You need to pull out 2 wahs and go piece by piece and go, these are different. Now, I'd already seen the pictures. There's nothing different except for the pot. But anyway, I was being a nice guy. You have to illustrate this to people so that this goes away. Or if in fact you've made a big error in judgment, you have to own up to it.
Yeah.
And tell the truth. I'm a kid. I'm naive. I have the hubris of youth, thinking that I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'm smarter than all these old guys. And they've got money anyway, so they're not going to scrutinize me that hard. They don't care. They just want a wah that sounds good. Mm-hmm. That's where you made a big huge mistake.
Well, and there's good and bad to all this drama going on right now. The good thing,
He made a mofo.
whoa,
Mofo.
Mofo.
who did that?
Who is that?
I don't know. Here.
Oh, it's
So
Miles. Quit distracting us.
So there's good and bad. Okay, let's to bring it into perspective. The good thing is it makes people more aware and more interested.
This is a good spotlight.
If this
on
is the
this.
kind of
Yeah.
right, because now the next thing, now that's a bad thing at the same time, because you could have somebody who's honestly sitting in their house making their pedals, trying to start a business,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're going to get accused of something that isn't the case because somebody's been burned by somebody like Vertex, right?
Yeah. Now everyone's guarded, right?
But
Which
the good
you don't
thing
need to
is-
be. You just be smart.
Yeah, but I mean, we see this in other areas in our industry. I mean, there's tube amps that come out of China that are the same tube amp as something else or whatever. There are guitars being made that are being said to be made by luthiers, or a specific luthier whose name happens to be on the headstock. And if you dig deeper, he's sourcing the parts from Warmouth or whoever else and just kind of putting the thing together or whatever. Now, there's some guys that will tell you that's what they do.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. You can say to that person, yeah, but if you bought all these parts for, less than $1,000,
I do my thing to it.
why am I giving you $2,000, $2,500 for it?
That's
because,
all? Yeah.
Yeah, because I painted it and I did it. I built it.
I did all the
whatever.
work, yeah.
But you're saying that's what it is. If you say you hand carve the neck with a draw knife and I see a Warmouth invoice on your desk, then we have a problem,
That's right.
Because that's when you can't, you know what I mean? And that's where, like I said, people have to be a little bit, they got to go a little bit to the next step. If there's no photos of the factory, if there's nobody testifying to the fact that this guy sat there and hand carved his neck while he waited and felt it with his hand.
Guys got to make profit.
Right.
And if you understood the profit margins that the big companies make for cheap products,
right,
they're way more percentage-wise than boutique guys make.
Yeah, the
especially
music
guitar
business,
makers. Those guys make $300-400
right, we're
when
not
it's
the
all
problem.
net said and done.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: Bill Nash, that's the guy I was trying to think of last night.
Yeah.
Bill Nash tells you exactly what his parts are. He buys, but then he hand works the
Right.
frets, and he does a really great hand finish. And sometimes he'll sand the neck a little bit, and he'll do the nuts by hand. You know, he puts time and effort into it. You know, it's worth money. People don't do anything for free, even though I don't want to pay for it.
Right.
I want a $900 guitar.
Great.
Labor is one of the
Yeah.
most expensive components.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
don't want to pay for it, go get some tools at the hardware store and figure it out.
Right.
And your first one's probably going to stink.
So John Priest says something here that I want to address directly. He said, this is John Priest with Peach Guitars in Essex, who is arguably one of the nicest guys in this business, and he also plays guitar astonishingly well. He's a good guy, and he's telling me we've had customers hammering us with threatening phone calls. Okay, I'm looking you right in the eye. If you're calling any dealer and threatening them, fuck you.
I mean, knock it off.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. That is so inappropriate and wrong. You couldn't be more wrong.
Right.
This is a guy making a living. He buys pedals because customers came in and said, hey, do you have the Vertex wah?
Right.
Yes. He's not Vertex.
Right.
You know what?
Right. And even if he put the cell on, even if he said, this wah sounds awesome, you should try it.
What's the cell? Plug
He's
in and see if you like
yeah,
it.
Yeah, he's not wrong. He said this wah
Well,
sounds awesome.
I read
You know,
glowing
Well,
threads
probably
on the
does
gear
that with
page.
Everything he carries.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Right.
If he didn't like it, he wouldn't carry it.
Right. So obviously it sounded good. He stocked it. He said, you know, this is a good sounding wad that I believe is worth the money that you're going to pay for it,
Well,
for
in
the
fact,
sound.
I doubt any reputable dealer.
Everything apart.
Right.
That comes in
Well,
the store.
Yeah,
dealer-
how dare you not take it apart and degoop it and, you know.
Dealers don't say, oh, I think it's worth the money. They just go,
No,
it costs
this is what-
$2.99.
Yeah, that's what it cost. Right. Buy it.
Um,
Buy it.
So, yeah, I'm a little strong there on my wording of that, but you couldn't be more wrong. If you want to return it, whatever, that's between you and your dealer. But if you're calling and
Return it.
threatening a dealer,
Yeah.
dude, wake up. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, get a life, man. Get some perspective.
Right.
You know, you want to talk about people that have problems?
Yeah.
Having a wah pedal that you think you overpaid for isn't one of them.
No. No.
For God's sakes.
No. Somebody's getting shot or beheaded somewhere.
Yeah, you want to talk about ISIS for 30 seconds?
Yeah. And your biggest problem is that
I
you
paid more than-
overpaid
I-
for BBE wah.
I think that this person should have charged me $199 for this wall instead of $299.
Right.
I'm furious about it.
Yeah. That's your social injustice? Come on.
Come on, fellas. Wake the fuck up.
Donate to something. Okay? Go feed somebody at a soup kitchen. Do something else besides breaking the windows of a music store that passed along a product sold to them.
Yeah.
It's not.
You know, I'm going to write a blues.
Asking for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's
Which
write.
you bought because you liked it, not because you hated it.
I think we should do an impromptu blues song about it right
Yeah.
now.
I
Overpaid for my wah. All my friends say, huh?
Yeah. The irony is that you'd use the wah
Right.
to record the song.
Oh my God. And then he stepped on the ball. Remember from Trading
Yeah.
Places?
He stepped on the
He stepped on the ball.
Yeah. Constance Fry.
Yeah. You know what? It's a freaking wah pedal. Get a life. John says it was a sensible decision. He approached me. I checked out his endorsers and thought, great. Yeah, why? What do you need to do? A FBI background check on the guy?
Right.
It's a wah pedal. Mike Landau says,
Right.
I feel sorry for Mike. Mike's never endorsed anything in his entire career.
Right. The one time
He dips his toes in the water,
Poor guy.
and he's taken by a con man.
Yeah.
Yes, we were conned.
Yeah.
I say we, the collective we, because I don't buy this shit.
All you the other pedal makers
Yeah.
out there, like when you're about to hit send on the Michael Landau endorsement email,
Right.
just delete it. He's not gonna.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Not that I want to pat myself on the back, But like all of my artists pay for their amps, and all I ask is that I can put them on our website as a customer, because when you do an endorsement deal, you're exposing yourself to so much legal liability, and you're exposing yourself to so much trouble. I just want to say, I'll give you a wholesale price on the amp if you let me put on my website that you play my amps. That's it. Because I know better than to say, Mike Landau and I sleep together. You know, that's just not...
Allegedly.
Right. And then look at Landau. He had to write a public letter, and I know the guy that he wrote it with, who's also a friend of mine, called me and told me the story. You know, and it's just so much trouble for... You know, Mike's just some guy who plays guitar making a living. He happens to play guitar like God. Yeah. But he's just another guitar player trying to make a living, and he liked the pedals. And Mason is a very charming, convincing guy who can sell ice to Eskimos kind of thing. And Mike's a musician. You know, he's not a lawyer. He's not an insurance claims adjuster. He's not a parole officer, you know, looking for BS. Yeah. He's a guy who plays guitar and enjoys playing guitar. You know, it's just crazy.
And as long as we're talking about fair wages for things, you know, sometimes there's an artist thing.
These Python lines here are killing me, by the way. He's pianing for the fjords.
Yeah. So sometimes there's an artist thing. I mean, if we talk about wah pedals, there's a Joe Bonamassa wah pedal out there. Very close to other wahs, but that inductor is a little different, and they've got it mounted in something that's like a little microphonic, you know. And so these are different. These are legit differences, first of all. Even if you say the copper brushed, you know, the paint, the finish that it has, okay, fine, it's a difference, right? Mm-hmm. So it's worth an amount of money because it's a different thing, and I've actually played it, and it sounds really good. I actually like it.
Sure.
It's also worth money because Joe spends his life and earns his living making music and making music for other people, not just in his bedroom, right? And so there's value in that. So again, I don't begrudge if the Joe Bonamassa is twice as expensive as a typical crybaby.
You don't have to buy anything.
Right.
You just go, I don't want to spend that much money.
Right. So
yeah.
Again, fair wage for
an
artist.
I love
products,
Ferraris. Right? I mean, I love Ferraris.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be $250,000. So I'm going to threaten their dealers. You know, it's John Priest. This is amazing. Thanks for sharing this, John. I really appreciate you being here. Said Mike emailed me today to personally apologize for any stress that's been caused, and he's invited me to his London show with James Taylor.
Come on.
Right on, Mike Landau.
Yes.
I think you should go.
Yeah. Just picks or it didn't happen.
Anyway, we're probably verging on beating a dead horse here.
Yes.
But
it's important, like I said, it's important to draw the contrast because it doesn't mean all music products stink and everyone sucks. You know, it's like there's sometimes when things are expensive. We made pickups with silver wire, cryogenically treated them, glass
with baby
nylon.
tears.
No, it's true.
No, I know.
Not the baby tears part. Glass-filled nylon bob, custom-made.
No, I remember those $600 pickups.
Right,
or whatever.
they were expensive.
Beating a dead parrot.
But there was, if you don't buy them. You know, there's value in it. If you didn't think there was value in it, don't. But it's not the snake oil salesman. It's not the same as the $4,000 speaker cable that's 6
All right, so let's summarize and move on.
Then again, on the expensive speaker cable, when you look at it, it's thicker. There's more material. The ends are maybe, I mean, whether it's going to sound that much better, that's objective.
Right.
So,
Decide whether something's worth your money.
Let's just sum it up. Remember this phrase for the rest of your life. If you
no good deed ever goes unpunished.
Yeah. Do I have to write this down?
No, I'm going to start.
It's a lame bird that swims upstream to the tune of a barking arrow.
That's not the one you were going to say, is it?
Tell me when you're ready.
All right, go ahead.
If you plug into something and you like it, it's good. That is your sole and only criteria for buying any piece of equipment.
Not looks, really?
Let me say that again. If you plug into something and you like it, it is good. As Rene Descartes would say, I enjoy, therefore it's good. He said, I think, therefore I am. But it's close. You get the idea.
Thing.
NOS, baby.
It doesn't work with interpersonal relationships.
If you stick something, never mind. Stop, Miles. Stop.
Sometimes it's not good.
It's an ex-horse. Yeah, that's right. We're beating it to death because I want to make this point. Like, don't fall in love with these guys. If you like the stuff, it doesn't matter if he's an ex-con who's selling joints on the corner. If you like the pedal he makes, it's a good pedal. It's not any better because it's made by someone who has a degree from somewhere or does whatever. It just doesn't matter. If you like it, it's good. Okay?
Except us.
So, the other thing...
Except when we're referring to the things we do. We're great.
Man, if you just said that an hour ago.
What?
Yeah, I know. It took me a while.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, watch any reality show. They keep replaying the same clips, but before and after the commercials, anyways.
That's right.
You know, how do you expect us to fill
That's
up?
right.
Dan's getting older and he's starting to do a Miles.
What, repeat himself all the time?
Repeat and just go on and on.
You know,
Yeah.
I'll tell you about my third wife.
Yeah. As much as doing a Miles is a thing, also, you know, pulling a vertex is going to become a phrase.
Yeah, vertex is now a verb and an adjective. Hey, dude, don't vertex me.
Yeah, don't pull a freakish blues.
Boy, that's really vertexy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mason's done. Vertex is done. You know, I hope he finds a way to rise from the ashes somehow.
Yeah. But if he comes out with a $900 wah that he made in his house, don't buy it. That's just the 2 cents.
I'm still laughing
Well,
like
at least listen to it first.
I am still laughing at. I'm an electrical engineer and I worked on this tirelessly.
Yeah.
Where'd you get your degree in engineering, dude? I mean,
Yeah.
University of Wichita hamburgers. I mean, it's just like, you know, that's no electrical engineer would spend more than 30 minutes looking at a wah and going, yeah, you could change that.
Right.
You know.
No, it's like saying, look, I'm a professional songwriter.
Yeah.
And I spent 7.5 years on this 145.
And it's got 2 chords.
You know?
Right. Exactly.
Like, no, then you know what? You didn't do. You stink.
You're not a professional
Yeah,
songwriter.
come on.
That's right. That's right. It's just like, seriously, no one said, no one went, what? I'm an electrical engineer and I worked tirelessly and long and years of research and painstaking efforts to make a wah pedal?
No.
Okay. Oh, there's one thing. I'm deaf.
Chicago taste.
That's the question?
Oh, I don't know.
That's the most important question.
We can.
of the day.
I still got to be back by 2:30, so we got to go.
Whatever. All right, bye
We gotta go.
everyone.
Goodbye.
University of Okoboji. Yeah.
Stop recording.
I went to McDonald's University.
I'm gonna go trip the breaker.
Yeah.
Just to be sure everything's out.
Yeah. So you guys spent $100 more than you should have for a wah pedal.
Right. You know
Oh,
what
stop whining. I've been
Yeah.
married 3 times, shot twice, been in two airplane crashes and a parachuting accident.
Right, and your
And
biggest
these guys are
problem
bitching about their
is that you
pedal.
overpaid for a Chinese-made wah.
You paid $100 more than you should have for a wah pedal.
Life is hard.
This guy's life is ruined. I think there's justice, okay? I think there's balance. There's no need to go after him. There's no need to go after his dealers.
Yeah.
There's none of that. You paid $100 too much for. I'm so sorry.
Right.
You know, that would have paid for a round of golf for most of you guys on the gear page in your law firms.
Yeah, just don't buy the next one.
Right. There's a little piling on, picking on the little guy thing here that's kind of ugly. And Dr. Knoll says, what I love about this conversation is that you guys have a bass player. That's right. And he's a good bass player, too.
Yeah. Player.
So, you know what, John?
Jack of all musical trades.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, anyway, enough. Vertex is done. Put it in proper perspective and reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're all going to be okay. That's right. Ustreamer 385363 says, I spent less time deciding to spend $5,700 this week on 65. Wow, thank you, Ustreamer 385. Can you come back next week and we'll talk about it because we got to go. I just wanted to get this done. We beat it to death on purpose, so there's no more to talk about. This was intentional.
Archived.
This was intentional. Like, boy, did he just beat that senseless. I never want to hear the word vertex again.
Next week, I don't even want to see a joke about it on the chat window.
Well,
that's right.
Somebody can take this broadcast after it's uploaded to YouTube and post it on the in one of the. That's true. Rather than say anything, just post the link.
You know what?
This is how I feel.
On the gear page.
A lot of people want to talk about this GC mystery, which there's not much mystery. I can sum that up. Too big to fail.
What's the mystery?
Everybody's starting rumors that GC is going out of business.
Well, that's the drama.
And they're not. Yeah. Too big to fail.
Large companies.
Too big to fail.
Lots of ups and downs. People say a lot of things. A lot of rumors get kicked around. Sometimes a guy gets fired. Sometimes new guys get hired.
We just play it one game at a time.
Whatever.
We just want to. We just play it one game at a time, Coach.
A bit of a reorganization and be fine and dandy.
Too big to fail. There's a saying in banking: if you borrow $100,000 from the bank owns you. If you borrow $1 million from the bank, you own the bank. Read between the lines.
Yep.
And then there's people wanted to talk about Fender going direct too. We can talk about that. It's not nearly as bad as it sounds. So anyway, we went a little dark and we went a little deep today. I appreciate you guys sticking around. I did. The collective we. I wanted to exercise this demon, right?
Yeah, you did.
I just wanted to exercise it completely. I'm sure Mason's going to watch this. Mason, I'm sorry. I'm Frank. You're going to find a way out of this. You're a smart kid. You made a mistake. You copped to it. I applaud you for doing that.
And I already have a couple of wahs, so no thank you. I know that the deal. I know you probably have an awesome deal.
Yeah.
On a wah pedal, but I'm good. I'm all right.
I've got my Bob Bradshaw wah pedal right here, and I'm happy with it. So anyway, thanks, fellas. For those of you that wanted to talk about something meaningful and substantive.
Not on this show.
First of all, you wouldn't have tuned in the first place.
Not today.
Anyway, what I was saying was, for those of you that wanted to tune in and talk about something meaningful and substantive, I apologize. This just had to get out of the way. Next week, I think I'll have the new pedal housings to show you.
Oh, yeah.
If the man we spoke to last night is on point. So you will see what the color bender and the color face with the script on them and everything looks like, and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
Thing.
Are you going to show the inside, though?
No.
Oh, yeah. John Priest says, I do actually want him to, of course, he's a human being. We don't wish ill on human beings.
Right.
Now is the time for him to prove himself as a man. And I think he made a positive step in that direction.
Yes.
He's far from done. But you know what? I'll venture that 4 out of 5 guys would not have had the balls that he did to throw it on the table like that. Right. That's what I advised him to do. I'm sure 10 other people advised him the same thing.
And to quote Rocky Balboa from Rocky IV, speaking to the Russians, if I can change and you can change, everybody can change.
See? Right. And on that bombshell, we are out of here. You fellas have a great week.
The miracle starts with you.
That's right. And just remember a few things. Children are our future.
Right.
Support
the troops.
We support the troops.
Right.
What other cheap approval can we get? That's right.
Don't make a Chinese wah pedal, rebrand it.
God bless John Wayne.
All the typical things you hear.
Yeah, and don't repurpose don't repurpose cheap Chinese goods and say that they're yours.
Don't repurpose cheap Chinese tubes and silk screen your logo. Maybe you could do that.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You smell what I'm thinking? All right. Yes, that's right. And don't stick nickels up your nose.
Yeah, well, except in my case, I just fall right out.
The bottom line there, we're going to start singing We Are the World. Only in a minor key. We are the world. Yeah. Later, nerd, says Rock and Roll Willie. Live long and prosper. That's right, John. Yeah. Hey, he's talking to an old guy now. Nerds. That's right. I don't know what's... Yeah, that's right. You do it for Randolph Scott. Randolph Scott. Come on. No one's a Blazing Saddles fan here. Nice UK Top Gear quote. Oh, it's one of my favorite shows. Yeah, Jeremy Clarkson. And on that bombshell, it's great. All right, fellas. Thanks for sticking around. And I know I'm going to get 10,000 emails about this, but come on, you know we're lighthearted guys having fun. Don't get your panties in a wad. Okay, have a great day, and we'll see you very soon. Ciao.